So,
Yep.
how do you focus on supporting the EQ of adults so that they can grow the EQ of the children that they're serving?
Yeah. So I'll get real personal here real quick, because I'm a real big believer in us being able to be vulnerable and share our own stories. And I'll just use the example of myself as an educator. I was a teacher, a classroom teacher, and a special education teacher for 12 years. And in 2019, I had the toughest classroom I had ever taught. My family moved from one part of the state. I'm in Indiana. I know I see a lot of people here are from Illinois, but we moved from one part of the state to the other in the middle of the school year. And moving in itself is stressful and traumatic oftentimes. And then trying to find a job and navigate a new community. And so in my mind, I was so excited and thrilled that a school had a job opening in the middle of the year when I should have thought red flag, red flag, red flag, right?
Oh,
We know what happens when there's job
yeah.
openings in the middle of the school year. So I came in thinking, I'm just going to turn this classroom around and it doesn't matter, what we're up against and I've got this. And I was just immediately humbled by the 25 first graders in my classroom that were really struggling through a lot of challenging behaviors and had a series of subs, and
Mhm.
teachers quit throughout the year. And the classroom environment was really struggling. And not
Mhm.
only were they struggling, but I was struggling personally. I thought, I was a positive role model and teacher in their lives, and they were just kind of meeting me with friction, because there was a lot of distrust, and so it really created a lot of self doubt for me as an educator, a lot of self confidence, a lot of burnout.
Mm.
And I was struggling through a lot of things in my personal life of how I do continue teaching and feeling like I am doing quality work and making a difference. Even though I felt like I was kind of hitting barrier after barrier with my students. And then my own personal life was really going through a lot of things with a move and having a little one at home. And so I think I really had to take a step back and think about how am I being the best version of me so I can pour into these students every single day, because I was coming in with a cup that was less than half full. And I know that sounds cheesy, but we all know that we can't from an empty cup. So I was getting frustrated with my students and I was getting frustrated with my administrators, and I was feeling a lack of clarity in what I was supposed to do. And so when I took a step back and really started to focus a little bit more on what I needed in that moment, um, that really helped me kind of think about how I could support them. And I'm not saying that, it was a magic wand and that it was fixed in a moment, but it was really just focusing less on how can I fix my students, how can I fix the situation, and more about how am I reacting in this moment, and sometimes making it even worse. And
Mm.
so, really focusing on my own growth and self awareness, so then I could be the best I could be for them.
So that is great because it starts with us, right? And our reactions to things. And I know I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I would say that most of us probably have a moment where we're like, I wish I could take that back.
Right? Exactly.
Because that wasn't the best way to achieve the result you want and get the desired behaviors you want to come with it because they're
Yeah.
feeding off of you, right?
Yep. Yep, exactly. And you can't think clearly, you can't think rationally. We all know the right things to do, and in the moment sometimes, like you said, we just react and we need a do-over, and we're human beings too. And so I just really had to slow down and think about what were my priorities with my students and what were my priorities in my own personal life, to really focus on like quality versus quantity. And I know there are a million things being thrown at teachers. And sometimes I just kind of had to ask for forgiveness instead of permission and close my door and focus on what we needed. And by the end of the year, we made a lot of growth. Was every kid on grade level? No. Was I in a perfect mental well being headspace? No. But I definitely wasn't on the ledge like I was when I first started in that classroom when I came mid year.